So anyway, so somebody suggested that, okay, we were doing the chazor. I stopped doing a chazor. I didn't think anybody was interested. Does anybody think we should start that again? If not that, then maybe a pre.
In the beginning?
In the beginning is we were used to chazor, from yesterday's daf, just say over a little bit.
Yeah, but you already sent it out, so is it necessary?
I like the chazara.
Yeah,
I think it's a good way to start off.
So chazor, and then also maybe the preview, like what Rabbi Leibowitz does. So that he also says what's on the daf before. But that means I have to remember what's on the daf. That's the only problem, that before it comes up. No, I'm kidding around. Anyways, okay, so I guess we'll start Belina, we'll start Chazorah tomorrow. We'll just say over the things. But tonight's daf, pretty much we start with eruv techum, and most of it talks about what Amud Beis. It's interesting. Amud Aleph talks about that women are potter from mitzvos as man gromas, and what women are chayiv, and then the rest of the Amud pretty much talks about what type of foods you're allowed to use for an eruv techum. Yeah. Okay, so that's basically, eruv techum is, again, we've had it a few times, but that you're not allowed to carry more than 2,000 amas outside of your city on Shabbos. Not carry. Sorry, I said carry, right? And not carry. You're not allowed to walk, even having nothing to do with carrying. You're not allowed to go more than 2,000 amas outside of your city. Like we saw yesterday or 2 days ago, the question is where you count the city limits. That's going to be the hard part of eruv techum. From which house do you stop it? Do you start the count? It doesn't go from your house. It goes from the city that you're in. Unless you're not in a city on Shabbos and you're out by yourself, and then you get 2,000 amas for where you stand. If you want, you can make what's called an eruv techum, which will enable you to carry a bonus 2,000 amas. Meaning if you're standing in a city, you get 2,000 amas in every direction. What you could do is you can make an eruv techum to a maximum of 2,000 amas from where you are, which is basically what you do is you take some food and you put it there before Shabbos, and it still has to be in existence by Shkia, by Shabbos. And then what it does is it makes that instead of you living where you are right now, you're making it as if you're living over there 2,000 amas away, in which case you get 2,000 amas that way, plus the 2,000, right? So now you end up with 4,000 amas in one direction. But what that means... What that means is that you can't go 2,000 amas out of. If you make your eruv techum, let's say to the north of the city, then you can't go anywhere south of the city because you made yourself dwell 2,000 amas north of the city, not in the city itself. Right? Is that clear? Somebody want to say something?
What's considered eruv techum?
What's considered eruv techum?
Yeah. What do you have to use?
So you could use any sort of food. We're going to see the measurements and all that we're going to get to. But you have to use, you have two options. Either you could take food and put it there, and that becomes your place. Or what you could theoretically do is you could walk there yourself Friday night and stay there yourself. And then you could walk back home, and then you'll still get 2,000 amas in the other direction. Yeah?
Zeb, we finished the sugya. I'll tell you ultimately what you could end up using. Okay, it's
You're talking practical. You're giving practical. Yeah. So, anyways, that's basically it. So again, the main point is that you're moving your point of dwelling to wherever it is that you make the eruv. That's the point. Okay. So then the Mishnah starts off.
Can I just ask one question on that? Does that mean what you're just saying? It's food, but it doesn't have to be in any type of a shelter.
Correct. It has to just be in a place that you can access it, though. That's a good point. Now, it has to be someplace.
But the whole concept of techum is that there's that it's a living place kind of a thing. Meaning, if you were in a busy street, you wouldn't need the techum. So we're extending the living space or the distance of travel based on a non-living entity.
Well, yeah, but you're making yourself live at the edge, and therefore wherever it is that you're making yourself live, you'll have 2,000 amas in every direction from wherever it is that you make yourself live.
Got it.
Right? So, but the point is, and that's a good point, it has to be in a place. If you leave the eruv techum in a place that you can't access it, let's say on a tree, right, and you can't climb up the tree to get it, so then the eruv is no good. Right? If you leave it in a guy's property and the guy doesn't let you come in, so then maybe it's no good either. You have to be able to access the food. Another thing is you could put it out there Friday afternoon. If somebody comes and decides to steal it or an animal eats it, then you're done. You don't have your eruv techum either. Right? Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. So it starts in Mishnah. But kol maaser b'shtatvin, you're allowed to make an eruv, right? But and now when it says eruv here, it means Rashi says it means both techum and eruv chetzeres. Like what we said that you have by eruv chetzeres, everybody has to give a little bit of food. So we said the minig is to do matzahs because it lasts a long time, but you can really do any sort of food. Mishtatim is when every mavui, right? Those are all the streets want to combine to each other. So that's the same thing. It's just an extension of eruv chetzeres. You can use any food you want, except for water and salt. Right, because that's not considered food. V'akol nikach b'kesav maaser, and anything can be taken with maaser. Now, this is not maaser. This is called maaser sheni, right? So maaser sheni is that 1/10 of all your produce, you have to take it up to Yerushalayim and eat it there. Now, obviously, if you have hopefully you're successful. So if you have buckets and buckets or barrels or what do you call it? There's bushels and bushels of fruits and vegetables to take up to Yerushalayim, it's going to be a pain to do that. So what you do is you take the food and you machal it onto money, meaning you say, let's say these 10 apples, I'm putting it onto this dollar bill, and then I'm going to take that dollar bill to Yerushalayim, then I'm going to eat the food in Yerushalayim. I'm going to buy food with that dollar and eat in Yerushalayim. So what types of food can you take with that kesav maaser? You can take anything except for mayim and melach, except for water and salt. Let's say somebody makes a neder that he's not going to eat. Wouldn't hurt for some of us to do that, yeah? So that's mutter b'melach hamayim, then it is mutter for you to use salt and water. Because again, salt and water is not food. מערבין לנזיר ביין ולישראל בתרומה. This is a chiddush. A nazir is not allowed to have wine. So we just got finished saying that when you're going to use your eruv, it has to be something that's potentially edible for you. A nazir can't. A nazir can't drink wine. Still, the Tanakama holds it's fine. As long as somebody could drink, it doesn't have to be you, then it's okay. Well, yisroel b'truma, and a yisroel can even use truma for it, even though we know yisroel can't eat truma, he's got to give it to the kohen. Sumchus disagrees. Sumchus says it has to be done with chulin. Ula kohen bebeis hapras, and a kohen, now beis hapras is a field that
bones. There's bones in it.
It's right. It's a body got ground into the. There was a body in the field and they plowed it, and there's bones all over the field. So a kohen can't go in there, right? Now this is not Sumchus talking, right? This is stam that a kohen can go into, because Sumchus would hold that it should be a problem, which we'll see in the Gemara. But a kohen bebeis hapras, the kohen can go into beis hapras. Yehuda says they can even go in between. What do you call kvaras? Graves, yes. Because there's a way to do it where you can make a mechitza between you, and then you can get into the area. The way how you going to do it? You put yourself into a box, right? Anybody who went to the the oil, and he used to watch what they do over there by the oil to get so the kohanim could get there. So since you potentially could do that, so then you could put your eruv in a cemetery, even if you're a kohen.
Side note, is that a real thing? Do you hold to that? That would be fine?
I don't know exactly what I never saw it, so I don't know. I just know that they have a system where they do it. Well, I mean, the Gemara is going to discuss it, right? But I mean, in here, the Gemara is not really referring to that. Here it's talking about where you put the kohen into a box.
That you see, you don't know if it's good or not.
What?
Like not by Chabad standards. I'm saying by normal standards. Is it normal? Is it good?
Normal standards, if you put the kohen into a box, totally into a box, and then carry the kohen, then yeah.
No, but that's not what happens here. You walk with a box around you.
Right, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly.
About Chabad, and what are you asking him about Chabad for?
Because I would like to go.
I brought it up. And
You brought it up, and I would like to go. And everybody says, oh, Kohanim could go. And I said, I don't think it's really okay without being Chabad.
Right, so I don't know. I'm not sure, but this is not really what that's talking about.
If you are Chabad.
What?
Okay, but I can't answer questions on them.
Right. Yeah, that's true. True. Yeah, fine. Okay, so Zog Gemara.
Excuse me, just 1 second, because the Olam likes when I show him how old I am. I made an eruv techum with 2 Satma Yungalite in Monroe when I went to Rabbi Yoelish's Rosh Chodesh bench in the last Shabbos he was alive.
Where did you stay that you had to make an
In a
eruv?
bungalow colony in Monroe.
How many years ago was that?
The day before he died, you could figure
When?
it
Which
out.
was when?
80.
I don't
I think
remember
it
when he
was
died.
Look
Nifter
it
Which
up
was
on
when?
your look it up on your WhatsApp.
I think it was
You can't just
Nifter
answer me, man.
41 years ago.
79 or 80. I think he was Nifter.
Thank
79 or 80.
41 years ago. It's
That's
just
pretty good.
just the
That's
answer.
pretty good. Right, it was just his yard, of, right? At the end of was his yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. Anybody else in this daf ever make an eruv techum? I think I did it once in the country. I think so. The Chassidim have an eruv techum right in front of my bungalow in the country. They put peanut butter because they want to be able to go to the mikveh Shabbos morning. So they have an eruv techum by us.
Rabbi Crash told somebody he should they wanted to walk to Long Beach. So he told them put peanut butter and I think something else under the bridge. Right, before, right, the end of the bridge.
Right, yeah. If you hold that you have to make an eruv techum there, then yeah, we'll discuss the whole Long Beach carrying to Long Beach issue when we get to the sugyas. Yeah, but that's not gonna be for a while. Okay, so Zog the Gemara, yeah. We don't learn anything from rules. Right? Even if it says the word chutz, we still don't learn out from klalos. Meaning, because in our Mishnah, what we're going to say is our Mishnah says you can make an eruv with anything chutz, right? So does that mean only those things specifically? Is the background noise too loud? Is the background noise too loud? Or okay, let me just move it to a little corner and then. Okay, so again, we don't learn anything out from rules, even if it says chutz. This that he said in his statement. We don't learn anything out of rules, even in a place that it says chutz. So it must be he's not referring to our Mishnah, because our Mishnah says chutz. He wasn't going here. He wasn't talking about our Mishnah. So what was he talking about? Meaning, what rules was he talking about that it says that we're going to say chutz? So hasam koi, it's going over there. Kol mitzvos asay shazman grama. This is almost an yana diyame for Rosh Hashanah. Any mitzvos asay that's time related, anoshim chayavin, men are chayav, anoshim paturas, and women are patur. V'shaloy azman grama, and if it's not azman grama, echad noshim ve'echad anoshim chayavin, whether it's men, whether it's women, they're chayav. Uklalahu, the kol mitzvos asay shazman grama, anoshim paturas. Is it a rule that every mitzvah say that's time related to mimuna potter? Hare matzah, simcha, v'hakel, right? So we know matzah, and Pesach by night. The mitzvah of simcha, right? On Yom Tif, which is why women are supposed to buy women nice things. Hakel is the year after Shemitah. Everybody has to go up to Yerushalayim and hear the kohen Golda read from the Torah or the king, right? The mitzvahs asay shazman grama, those are mitzvahs asay shazman grama, who v'nashim chayavas and nashim are chayiv. And then the Gemara says, v'chol mitzvahs asay shalay azman grama, nashim chayavas, and is every mitzvah to say that women, that's not azman grama, nashim chayiv, hari Talmud Torah, piri v'rivya, pidyon aben. You have Talmud Torah, piri v'rivya, pidyon aben. These are all mitzvahs to say that are not time related. The mitzvah to say shaloyas man grama but nashim paturas and nashim apata, right? So what he's saying, I mean, this came up stam in a conversation today. Women are chayiv to learn Torah, but they're not chayiv to learn Torah because of learning Torah itself. They're only chayiv to learn Torah for the halachas that they need to know. Meaning, a man, if there's no such thing as boredom for a man, because if you're bored, you're mechuyev to learn. You're mechuyev to learn even if you're not bored. But certainly, if you're bored, you have a chayiv to learn. If a woman learned every halacha that's negeya to her, then she does not have to learn. There's no mitzvah for her to learn, right? And period v'rivya, which is an interesting thing because the women are the one that
not even like nach or something.
No, women do not have a mitzvah to learn nach. They do not have they get a mitzvah if they learn it, but it's not. There's no chiyuv, right? They're not chayiv. They're only chayiv to learn halachas that they have to know, which formulated knows all the halachas, and we'll worry about it. So the bottom line is we're all in the same boat that we do have to learn. Period v'rivya, even though they have the children, they have no chiyuv. They have no chiyuv to have children. And the pidyon aben is that we learn out from pidyon aben. The pshat is that since a woman, there's no pidyon aben on a woman, therefore she's not chayiv to do a pidyon aben either. Either way, so the Gemara.
Good question.
Go ahead.
Firstly, isn't there a specific pasuk that talks about hakel?
Correct.
Meaning, but the other two mitzvahs that the Gemara says doesn't have a specific pasuk, does it?
No.
Saying women, right? So you have Xeris HaKasav that tells you women specifically, even though it's a mitzvah Sazei Shazman Groma. So it's a different category than the other two mitzvahs that it says.
Okay, you're right. One, it says beferish. You're saying by hakel, it says anoshim and noshim v'taf.
Which
the
would
other
negate the fact that mitzvah noshim would be pater. And you have Xeris HaKasav that says specifically that they have to be chayiv.
Right, but right. So really, right. Excellent. That's true. It's a good point. But right now, the Gemara is just handling when it says chutz, except for. Does that meaning whenever there's a rule, rules are meant to be broken. That's essentially what this Gemara is saying. Rules are meant to be broken. It's just saying, how can you say it as a rule? Meaning, or anytime you say a rule, that doesn't mean that there aren't exceptions to the rule. That's all.
And also,
right?
Pidyon haben is not a mitzvah Sazei Shazman Groma.
What?
Pidyon haben is not Hazman Groma.
No, why?
Isn't there a specific time for Pidyon haben? Isn't it 30 days?
Yeah, but it's not. There's no time after that. Meaning you don't do it before 30. The only reason why you wait 30 days. You can do it
after 30 days. It's not. I'm not involved in that mitzvah. I'm just. I don't know.
But if once the 30 days go on, it falls onto the tzibor, no? To give the opinion of that, no?
Correct, but the reason why we wait 30 days is because you need to make sure the baby is viable.
Right.
That's the only reason why.
No extra, but based on what he was asking us, there's no extra mitzvah on the mother after that 30-day period of time, correct?
Correct. There's no mitzvah on the mother. Yeah. Fine. So anyway, so that's what we see. So we don't learn anything out from rules. Even where it says chutz. And you know, we also learned that sorry. Oid klal. Achar amru kol shenisa al gabi hazov tame. Anything that gets carried by a zov becomes tame. Right? Meaning, if normally with tuma, only if you're touching the tuma, only what you're touching becomes tame. By a zov, special din, that let's say a zov is carrying 5 boxes, even the top box will become tame. But anything that's carrying the zov is tar. Except for something that is normally sat on or they're both mishkav and moshe means laying down and sitting down. Veha adam and a person, right? So meaning a person carries a zav, that the person also becomes a vesu leka, and there is nothing else that a zav is going to make tameh. But ikam merkav, what do you mean? What there's something that he rides on, right? If he's riding on something, then it becomes tameh. So the Gemara answers, "Hi merkav hechi dami ita yasav elav hainu moshe." What kind of merkav are we talking about? Is it if he's sitting on it, that's Moshe. So the Gemara says, this is what we're saying. There is the part of the uchva is a saddle. Right? So the saddle has the little piece that you hold on to. I don't know what it's called in English. Yeah, the handle that you hold on, right? At the top of the saddle. Tanya uchv tameh, Moshe. The uchv is tameh Moshe. But the tafus, the part that you grab onto, is tameh merkav. That's considered tameh of riding. So what do we learn out from all these examples? We don't learn out. We don't learn anything out from even where it says chutz. What do you say?
Nothing important, but it's called a pommel. Pommel.
A pummel.
Yeah.
Not a pummel to beat somebody, right?
No.
A pummel. Okay. P-O-M. Okay. Fine. Thank you. So. You're allowed to do an eruv or a partnership with all food except for water and salt. There's nothing else. There is what do you call it? Mushrooms and what's the other type of thing? Truffles. Thank you. Right? You don't learn anything out from rules, even if it says chutz, excluding. Still, there could be other things that get excluded, right? Like our Mishnah says you can make an neder with any type of food except for water and salt. And then, what do you mean? There's more things. There's truffles and mushrooms. So you see that you can't necessarily take anything out of that, right? So now, what's the biggest mitzvah as man groma that causes us a lot of stress is tkiyah shofar, right? Bottom line is women, they're busy trying to go to But Shulchan Aruch says very straight. It says women are potter from Tkiyah Shofar. That's it. It doesn't say anything more than that. It doesn't say they will makabel it on themselves. It doesn't say anything. The Ramah, a little bit later, brings down that if women do Tkiyah Shofar, so then they can make a bracha on it, right? Svardim hold they cannot make a bracha. Even if the Ashkenazim hold the women do make a bracha, it's just to say Shazman Grama, if they makayim it, Svardim hold they don't, right? So,
Where did it come from?
What are you saying?
Where did it come from? The ladies.
Oh, so it's really not clear. Rabbi Kiva already brings down that women started being makabelet on themselves. It seems like women were makabelet on themselves to hear shofar. I mean, they do it with sukkah, they do, and lulav, they do, but really, it's not. I mean, it causes a lot of stress to some women to hear the shofar. And once they were makabelet on themselves, it could be it's like a neder already. But really, there is no chiyah for women to hear tkiyah shofar. Fine. Hakol nikach b'kesav maaser. You're allowed to take anything. Right. What's the next line in the Mishnah? You're allowed to take anything with kesav maaser. Any types of food. Right. So the Gemara says, one is learning. One talks about eruv, and one learns it on maaser. One meaning they learn the same din. Just one learned it benegeya to eruv, and one learned it with on maaser. When we're saying that you're not allowed to make an eruv with water and salt, that's where you're doing it with water individually and salt individually. Dein Marvin, that's where you can't do an eruv. But you do it together, then you can make an eruv. One learns it on maaser. We're only talking about buying food with your maaser money that you brought up to Yerushalayim. That's only with water by itself or salt by itself. That's where you can't take off. But if you mix the water and the salt together, then you can. Right? So man de masniya maaser, the one who says that this halacha that when you mix the salt and water together is on maaser kol sheken eruv, then it's for sure on eruv. Man de masniya eruv al maaser loy. But on maaser, not my time. Why? Pera be'inan, because it needs to be a fruit, right? You need to do something with it needs to be a fruit. The money, since maaser is coming from fruits, so therefore you need to take the money that you were paid it on to bring it up to Yerushalayim. You must buy fruit and not water and salt.
Would flavored seltzer be anything different than water?
Oh, so I don't know. How about soda?
I don't drink soda, so I didn't ask you.
How about coffee or tea? Right? Okay. It's a good question. And now also that's an excellent question. Also another question is, what about water? Bisman hazeh has a lot more chashivas than it did back then. I mean, now we have bottled water. People are busy with water, right? All that stuff. Like for shalach manos.
Also have bugs in it.
Ah, there you go. But but not the water bottles. It also comes up for shalach manos. Can you give water? So the many old time person said you can't give water for shalach manos because it's not chashiv enough. But nowadays, especially you have those fancy ones that they give out, like by Sheva Brachos and all that stuff. The Vas water, Vas. Yeah, Vas Epis, that's what it stands for. Vas Epis, that you're wasting your money with this water. But okay. But I'm saying something chashiv like that, maybe that changes the halacha, right? That's why the poskim now do say that you could be yotzim mishalach manos with water. Okay, whatever it is. But here we're saying that maaser, some hold that it has to dafka be a fruit. That which the Gemara is going to discuss now. Kiyasa Rav Yitzchak masni on maaser. Rav Yitzchak learned this thing on maaser. So meisvei hey Rav Yehuda ben Gadish lifnei Rav Elazar shabeis abba hayu loichen tzir bekesav maaser. They used to take fish brine with kesav maaser. So Amalai Shamalai Shamata Elakishakir Dagmur. No, maybe don't bring a raya that fish, because fish brine is essentially salt and water, right? But he said maybe you only heard that they took fish brine when there was actually fish mixed into it, right? Like the sardine juice or whatever it is. And also when he said tzir, he's considering tzir as fats. The fat of the how do you call it? This fish brine has fat in it. He calls that fruit. How many of us also? Yeah, you have any fruits today for the health? The health people ask, you have any fruits? Sure, I had the fats of the herring. That's fruit, right? That's a beferish Gemara right here you can call that fruit, right? But mayim melech, but straight mayim melech, that he wouldn't allow. Okay, we're going to get back to the sheet at the bottom of the next Amud. So Amar of Yosef. Now we're on to Amud Beis. Right? No, we need it only to. I mean, this is the teretz. It's only talking about where you put in. When are we saying that mayim and melech together? It's talking about where you also put in some oil, right? So now it has an added ingredient that makes it more chashuv. So I'm like, why don't you just say shemen? Right? I mean, that's not because of water and salt mixed together. It's because of shemen. So, no, so what you did is you did it with havla, right? The good old havla. Havla means literally it's absorbed, right? Meaning what the guy did is, so let's say you have a mixture of water and salt together with oil, right? And you want to buy, let's say it cost $1, and you have $1 from maaser sheni money that you brought up in Yerushalayim, right? But if you break up the components of this mixture, are you allowed the oil part is, let's say, 50 cents, and then the water is 25 cents and the salt is 25 cents, right? So maybe you could only deduct 50 cents, and then you have to go spend another 50 cents on something else. Or can you just count the whole $1 towards this whole mixture? So the Gemara is saying, right?
Is this mixture considered oil or water?
It's, well, water and oil don't really mix, but right, that's the truth. They don't really mix. But that's what it's saying here, that you're using, it's called havla, right? Meaning the oil ends up being more expensive because of the water and the salt. And still it's mutter. Because I guess oil by itself would cost you 50 cents. Mix it in with salt and water, and again, let's say the regular price of oil is 50 cents for the oil, a quarter for the salt, a quarter for the water, right? But then when you mix it all together, then the price of the oil really goes up to 60 cents or 70 cents. So now how much of your $1 can go towards maaser sheni? Is it 50 cents, which is what the oil would cost? Or you can even say that you can do 60, not the whole, you can't do the whole $1 l'chara, because it's not worth, the oil is not $1. L'chara, you can't do the tzmash from this Gemara, that you can't do the whole $1.
It's like halacha. Is this halacha for like when you go to like, people go to like golf outings and things like that, like how much of it could be maaser money? Similar.
Oh, I never even thought about comparing that case to this, but yeah, you're right. That's correct. Or you can say golf. You're Florida.
Tuition.
You're a Florida guy, right? How about a Chinese auction?
Also, right?
Right.
Any raffle that the yeshivas do.
Right, or a dinner. How about a yeshiva dinner? How much money? Right, they charge you $500 for the dinner. Can you subtract 500 from your maaser? No, the bottom line is that you're eating a fat meal that would cost you.
How much the dinner cost you?
So there's two ways. There's maybe more than two ways, but the two basic ways is that you go with, well, how much did the dinner cost the yeshiva? So if the dinner cost the yeshiva $100, so then you can only take $400. I mean, a $500 plate for the dinner, the yeshiva costs them $100. So you can only deduct $400 from your maaser. Others say it depends how much you would pay for that dinner. Meaning, if I wouldn't have such a fancy dinner, I just eat hot dogs and buns, and it would cost me $4 for dinner. Then I could take off. For $4.96. Reb Zev Bald, am I doing all right here, or?
What is the Rabbi Paskin?
I don't want to get into trouble. You know.
What if they put the cost of the dinner on the invitation? Meaning they say this is how much it actually costs.
Oh, so then right. So then that.
Meaning you're talking guesswork.
What happens if you? What about?
They do that. They do that for golf outings, actually.
Oh, do they? They're probably doing that for tax purposes.
That's why it's tax purposes, but it's the same thing.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong. It's if you buy a raffle, only if you win the raffle, do you not consider it maaser, right?
No, it's not so clear. Meaning, let's say you buy a raffle for $100, right? So, if you would be willing to spend $5 of your own money to get into this raffle, because lemaisa, the chances of winning are higher than a regular lottery, right? Meaning everybody has their price. If a guy comes over and he says, we're only selling 1,000 tickets, and you can win a car. So I would say, okay, I'll bid $5 for that. So then I can't, right? Instead, I buy a ticket for 100. I can't take that $5 from maaser, because I would do that anyways. It's only the extra 95 that I could take from
But
maaser.
if you don't
Then
win,
it's a different shot. You're right.
If you don't win all 100, it's tzedakah.
It's still to be, but not really. If you think about it, the 5 is not, because that 5 you would have done even if it wasn't tzedakah. Right? If a guy comes over to me by mincha and he says, buy a raffle ticket. Not for tzedakah, I made my own raffle ticket. What are your odds? He tells me, no, odds are pretty good. I'll pay $1. So that means I wouldn't get, I can only take 99 if it's 100 for tzedakah. Even if you don't win.
They outlawed it. Reb Yaakov, there was in one of the Ford plant, one of the Ford plants. So there was fellas who would raffle off their paycheck. The paycheck was $1,000. They would sell 100 tickets at $12 each. People would buy it. They'd have a chance to win $1,000 paycheck, but they make an extra $200 a week raffling their paycheck.
That's a great idea.
That's funny. Okay, listen, everybody's got to take money. You got to try and make money as much as they can. But anyway, so that's the din with the maaser. So that's what we're saying here too. Even though the price went up for the oil, you can still count it. But seemingly not the water in the. So let's say ubablo mishari, and in swallowing it up isn't mutter. Yes, it is vatanya Perek stronger the daf. Ben Bagbag Omer, right? So Ben Bagbag says, yeah, but biker malamet shaloikin bakar. This is a long Gemara here, so we'll try and explain it. It's not a difficult Gemara. It's just a long Gemara, yeah. So but did I say biker? Bakar malamet shaloikin bakar al gabi oire. So now here's another interesting thing. So now you want to take your maaser sheni money and you buy something, right? So you want to buy an animal, make a geshmaka meal, right? Like we said, so peiros, fats, and so that can be considered fruit. So you want to buy with your maaser sheni money a nice meal, right? And in Yerushalayim, maybe that's what a minig is, that people come when they come visit Yerushalayim, they take everybody out to eat, because that's essentially what people did back then with the maaser sheni. You couldn't possibly eat all that, so what you did is you gave out food to people to eat in Yerushalayim. So now you bought this big animal. Now here's the thing: let's say the animal cost you $1,000. Right, but $100 of it is the skin of the animal. Right? Can you count $1,000 from your maaser money, or is it only 900? Right? So, babakar malamet shaloikim bakar al gav oira, you could take it with its skin. Right?
That's a waste of its meat. You can't.
Well, maybe you can only meaning so maybe you should sell the skins and then have to take the skin and buy more food. Right? Yeah, you don't need to. So you don't need to do that. That's what the pasuk says. But sign and with sheep, malamet shaloikin sign al gav gizasa. You could take the sheep with wool, and you don't have to go shave off the wool and sell it. Ubayayin malamet shaloikin yayin al gav kankana. You could buy the wine with the jar. Right, the jar also costs money. Uba sheicher and with beer. Right, I mean, but it doesn't really mean beer. Right, it's really old wine. Malamed. You're allowed to take what's the type of temed? It's like old wine. It's like decayed wine. Mead. That's mead. Yeah. Right. Okay. Oh, that's Misha Hichmitz from when it gets bad. So there's 4 cases again. Bakar, Tzayin, Yayin, and Sheikha, which is old wine. So whoever can explain to me why the Torah has to say the word Bakar, according to my Bagba, I will carry his clothing after him to the bathhouse. That's like the ultimate compliment, right? That the guy is so choshev that you want to carry his clothing for him to the bathhouse, right? So my timer. What's the reason? Kulu tzrichi levar mi bakar deloy tzarach. What? Meaning he's saying, Rabbi Yochanan is saying that I understand why the Torah need to say 4 different examples, but I don't understand why they said bakar. So if somebody can explain to me why it says bakar, then I'll be very grateful and I'll carry his clothing to the bathhouse. My tzrichi, So what's the tzricha? Because of Rahmana Bakar, if it would say Bakar, Havamina Bakar, Hudim is Davin al Gav Oirei, you can buy the Bakar with the skin Mishum de Gufehu, because that's part of this. That's part of the body, right? You can't get to the food unless you go through the skin. Aval tzayin al gav gizasa, but the wool on the sheep, the lav gufehu, it's not part of the body. Shave it off. I would say that you can't count that towards maaser because of Rahman Abitzayin al gav gizasa havamina mishum de mechuber. The bottom line is it is attached to the sheep. Aval yayin al gav kankane, but yayin wine that's in the bottle, I would say that you can't because of Rahman Abiyayin. But in wine, that's the way you watch the wine, meaning that's the way you ship the wine in a bottle. There's the only way to do it. Aval temed, right? Which, by the way, that's why. How come when you get a bottle of wine, you buy from a guy? Well, let's say a guy with a hechsher, but a bottle of soda in a glass. How come you don't have to pour it out, toivel it, and then put it back in?
It's not the use of the glass. Meaning it's only there.
You're using the glass.
It's only there to hold it. It's only there to hold
exactly,
it. Exactly
right. So I think that's right. So that's exactly what the Gemara is saying here too. Maybe wine, you can't get your wine from maaser unless it comes in a bottle.
We don't drink from the bottle. That's why we drink from a cup.
Very good. Very good. Right? Aval temed mishehichmitz the kiyuah ba'alma. But once temed, this old wine gets bad, that stam kiyuah ba'alma, there's nothing to it. Right? Ema, Lois, I would say maybe you would not be able to count it towards maaser. So, because Rahmanas Sheikha, that's why it says Sheikha. So that's why you need all four. But now we want to go up the other way. Good. So then just say Sheikha and don't say the other three. Right? Again, we started with Bakar, we went to sheep, we went to wine, we went to old wine. Good. So then just say the old wine and only the other three. So now we go back up. Because Rahmanah B'Sheikhar, if it would just say Sheikha, Havamina my Sheikha, Tvela, Ki'ilis, the Peirahu. We're saying that Sheikha is. It's the, what do you call it? It's the fruit that's all together, right? So it's considered like fruit. But wine in a barrel, that's not having to do with fruit. It's no shaykhis to the food at all. Because of Rahman Yayin al gav kankana danane tiruse, because that's the way you watch it. But use the wool from the sheep, maybe not. So because Rahman Atzayin afilu agav gizasa, even because of its gizasa. But bakar lamali, but then why do I need to say bakar? If you're going to say ila because Rahman bakar, if you wouldn't have said bakar, have a minute tzayin agav oira in agav gizasa loy, but maybe tzayin you could only use the skin, but not towards the money, towards your maaser money. But you can't use the wool because Rahman bakar lasuye oira. That's coming to tell you bakar, that's include to tell you that you can even use the skin of the sheep. So if that's what you want to say, and ayasale tzayin lasuye gizasa, and why do you say tzayin to include the wool, right? So again, we're gonna need bakar to tell you that you can use the skin of the sheep and the wool of the sheep. So then the Gemara says no. Ilay kasar rahmana bakar loy hava mina tzayin. I would not have thought that you can only use the tzayin for the skin and not for the wool. Why don't you just say bakar? The memela ayasale tzayin, and then tzayin sheep would be extra. And then since it did say tzayin, then we tell you the wool. Bakar lamadina. Why do you need bakar? Hashta tzayin al gav gizasam is davna. If the tzayin the sheep can be bought with its wool, bakar al gav oira. Do I need to tell you that a cow can't be bought with the skin? Of course it has to. So Hainu Tamar Rabbi Yochanan Manda Matargali Bakar Ali Ben Bagbag Mavilna Manelo Ben Misusa. That's what Rabbi Yochanan meant. He didn't have a reason why we needed to say bakar. Right? He had all the reason why he said the other three cases, but he doesn't have a reason to say bakar. Okay. Fine. End of that. Now, going back to Amud Aleph, we said that Rabbi Yehuda ben Gadish, Rabbi Elazar, said that you can use salt mixed with water. Right? I'm sorry, fish. They said fish. You can even use fish. Fish mixed in with the salt and water. Right? Well, it's because it's considered fruit. Right? Fish is considered fruit. But you have other Tanaim, which we're going to see soon, right, that hold that you're not allowed to use fish, and they hold that it has to actually be something that grows from the ground. Right? So what's their Machlokes based on? But my komifiki Rabbi Yehuda ben Godesh Rabbi Elazar v'hani tanoi de l'kamon. Rabbi Yehuda ben Godesh Rabbi Elazar darshi Ribui miuti v'hani tanoi darshi klali uprat. So now this is quite technical. You have sometimes in the Torah where a pasuk says a blanket rule, and then it says specific cases, and then it'll say a blanket rule again, which is more popularly known as klal, uprat, klal. But you can also darshan it. There's two ways to darshan it. It could be klal, uprat. Again, klal means a rule, and then there's a prat that makes it more specific. Or you could have ribui, miut, which is essentially the same thing. So there's a machlokes how you go about darshaning. Do you darshan every klal, uprat as a klal, uprat, or a ribui and a miut? We'll see in the Gemara exactly what the difference is. Rabbi Yehuda ben Godesh Rabbi Elazar darshi ribui miuti. They darshan it to include something and then to exclude something. It says, "V'nasata kesef v'chol asher tav enashecha." You take the money, right? Again, you took your fruits and you put it onto the money, right? And you said now the kedusha of the fruit goes onto the money. You eat the fruit in Chutz La'aretz, and then you bring the money to Yerushalayim. Then it says, what do you do with that money in Yerushalayim? V'nasata hakesef v'chol asher tav enashecha. You take with anything that your heart desires. That's riba. That's an inclusion. That says everything, right? That sounds like you could do whatever you want with it. But then it says bakar, ubatzayin, ubayayin, ubashecha. Like we just said, it says bakar, tzayin, yayin, shecha. Miut. That's a miut. But then it says with anything that your soul asks for. That's a literal translation. Chazav riba. So it goes and includes something. Riba umiut riba hakol. Right? It comes to, if it has a ribui and then a specifics and then ribui, then it comes to include everything. My Rabbi, so what is it coming to include? Rabbi, call mili, it's coming to include everything. My miut, and then what's it coming to exclude? Right? So the Rabbi Elazar miut sir, it's coming to exclude sir, what do you call it? Brine. Rabbi Yehuda ben Godesh miut mayim melech, it's coming to exclude water and salt. That's the first way to darshan.
Excuse me. I mean, the guy puts out a gallon of herring for the oilam, so he can't. So the brine doesn't count. Only the onions and the pieces, and he has to spend enough by five more small containers of herring. What is?
No, l'chayr in that case, as long as it's not mayim and melech. Again, I'm no bucker.
No, but he's saying not the one who says mayim, but Rabbi Elazar says here.
I think he means tzir without the fish.
Without the fish, okay.
Yeah, without the fish. Yeah, that's the way I understand it. It's tzir without the fish, right? But tzir with the fish, it's going to be all inclusive. That's what I think. The other tanai darshi klalu prati. They darshan klalu prat. Yeah. We only judge it the way the prat is. Ma prat mafurish pri. Since the prat says fruit. Primi pri ugedule karka. It means fruit that comes from fruit, right? And anything that grows on the ground. So now, what does that mean? Fruit from fruit means primi pri means like Rashi says egel noilad mi'imoy. Meaning there is a mother and a father there. It's reproduced, so that goes under the category of pri, right? And gedule karka, anything that grows from the ground. So afkol pri gedule karka. So that means anything that's a pri and it's gedule karka, right? So therefore, that's why animals you would be able to buy meat, right? V'tani idach ma prat mefurish vlad v'ladus haaretz afkol vlad v'ladus haaretz. Just like the prat, it's essentially the same, right? That it's something that was born. Right, so afkol vlad meaning born from that it grew from the land, right? By maaser bereshis, that's what Rashi says. It's afkol vlad v'ladus haaretz, anything that grows from the earth that was from maaser bereshis. My binai, what's the difference between them? Amarabaya dogim ikabinau, fish is between. There's the nafkamina. Lamandam are primi pri ugdule karka, right? He's saying that it's anything that's regenerated, not regenerated. Isn't a better word for it. It's from Pruravu, right? Hani dogim, gedule karkaninu. They're considered the dogim grow from the ground. The mandam or vladis aretz dogim imaya eruv. If you say that it has to grow from the actual land, then dogim don't come. The dogim are not from the land. Dogim are from water, right? Okay, I guess we'll stop because the next week takes us down halfway down the Amud. Okay, so that's enough for tonight. All right, a good tvach.
Now, what's the deal with tomorrow night?
What's tomorrow night?
9 o'clock.
No, I thought. When is this
you want to
field
do
trip?
I don't know if the Olam. Oh, I'm going to post a video, Jesse, actually of the back of your house, if you don't mind. Of the Karfif. If the Olam wants to get together to tour the eruv a little bit tomorrow, it's not that much to see. I don't know. The Olam should post it tomorrow, Monday, whatever it is, or we could wait for a different week. But we're going to be involved in. Now we're going to be involved in techum for the next month or so, maybe even more. So if before our memories, we're going to get back to eruv stuff too. So whatever the Olam wants, put it out there in the chat. I should be available. Anyways, all right, good talk. Yeah.
Good talk.
Okay, good talk.
Have a nice time, Jesse.